You know what makes the Daytona 500 special? It's the one race where every driver dreams of winning. But NASCAR just changed the rules for who even gets to race in it, and what happened next has the entire racing world talking. The 2026 Daytona 500 is right around the corner, and there's a lot to unpack. Fox Sports insider Bob Pockrass shared some big news about how teams without charters can qualify for the race. And these changes are huge. 36 chartered teams are automatically in the race. These are the teams that own charters, so they don't have to worry about qualifying. Most of these teams haven't changed from last year. Daniel Suarez moved to the number 7 Inspire car. Connor Zilisch is moving up to the number 88 car with Trackhouse. His teammate, Shane Van Gisbergen, switched from the 88 to the 97. Other than that, if you had a charter spot in 2025, you've got one in 2026. Then there's the 37th guaranteed spot. Jimmie Johnson in the number 84 is locked in with the open exemption provisional. This special rule is for elite drivers who don't race full-time anymore. Johnson doesn't have to qualify. He doesn't have to race in the duels. He just shows up on Sunday and races. No prize money. No points. Just doing it for the love of the game. That leaves 4 spots open for teams without charters. And here's where NASCAR's new rules get really tough. On Wednesday night, all the open teams do single-car qualifying. Each car goes out alone and tries to post the fastest lap time. The 2 fastest open cars automatically make it into the Daytona 500. They're done. They're in the race. But here's the part that has everyone talking. Pockrass explained that the rest of the open cars have to race in the qualifying duels on Thursday, and they're only racing for 1 spot in each duel. Just 1. That's it. Think about what that means. These duels happen at Daytona International Speedway. They're short, fast, and incredibly intense. If you're an open team and you didn't qualify in the top 2 on Wednesday, you get 1 chance on Thursday. Win that spot or go home. There's no backup plan. So who's fighting for those 4 spots? 8 drivers total. Chandler Smith will attempt to make it in the number 36 with Front Row Motorsports. Front Row got a lot of money from the lawsuit settlement, so this might be a car people aren't watching closely enough. Justin Allgaier will make another attempt with JR Motorsports in the number 40 car with Chris Stapleton's Traveler Whiskey sponsorship. This was one of the biggest stories of last year's Daytona 500. Can they do it again? J.J. Yaley in the number 44 for NY Racing is someone many won't look at, but he was challenging Jimmie Johnson before, so why can't he make it in? Anthony Alfredo with Beard Motorsports in the 62. This team almost specializes in super speedway racing. They'll be a threat. Casey Mears looks to make another start in the Great American Race with Garage 66. He'll probably have the lowest powered car, so he faces an uphill battle. Corey Heim doesn't have a full-time ride this year, but he'll be racing the 67 car for 23-11. Can he start his season with a great run in the Great American Race? BJ McLeod with Live Fast in the 78 has shown speed at super speedways before. And Corey LaJoie will be in the number 99 for RFK Racing. Having a 4th RFK car could be huge for drafting and working with teammates who are on the same page. Only half of these 8 drivers will make the Daytona 500. The other half will watch from home. And in 2026, winning Daytona matters even more. NASCAR brought back the chase format. After the regular season ends, the top 16 drivers in points enter a 10-race showdown. Whoever has the most points at the end wins the championship. No eliminations, no reset, just pure racing pressure every single week. If you're lower than about 5th place going into the chase, you can almost kiss your championship goodbye without a crazy comeback run. The sense of urgency will be real from lap 1. NASCAR has opened every season with the Daytona 500 since 1982. That's over 40 years of tradition. William Byron won the last 2 Daytona 500. Denny Hamlin has 3 wins, the most of any active driver. Every driver knows what's on the line. So NASCAR made qualifying harder and more intense. They made it tougher to even get into the race. But then something happened at Bowman Gray Stadium that made people question everything. Just days after announcing these strict new rules, NASCAR held the clash at Bowman Gray. This was supposed to be old-school racing, a short track with tight corners, hard racing with no excuses. Instead, it turned into a controversy about NASCAR protecting teams too much. The weather hit first. Sleet started falling on the track halfway through the race. The teams had wet weather tires ready. They were prepared. But NASCAR stopped the race to dry the track. Then they told every team to put on wet weather tires before going back out. Everyone had to use the same tires. No choice, no strategy. Later, on lap 165, multiple cars ran out of gas. So NASCAR ordered a mandatory fuel stop. Every car had to come to pit road and get fuel. During that stop, Carson Hocevar put on slick tires instead of wet tires. NASCAR penalized them for it. That's when people got really upset. Jeff Gluck talked about it on his podcast called The Teardown. He said, "I really don't like the situation where I feel like NASCAR is still hand-holding the teams a little bit too much with the wet weather tires." Gluck compared it to Formula One, where teams make their own tire choices. He explained, "Just let the teams, as in F1, hey, we're taking a risk here. Is it going to be good enough for dry tires, or do we need wet tires? If you want to take your risk on dry tires, use your dry tires. Whatever happens, it's what happens, right?" That's part of the racing and part of the strategy. I don't like having the full field come down and make a decision. James Small, crew chief for Chase Briscoe and the number 19 team, was frustrated. Gluck backed him up and called the mandatory stop a bailout. Gluck said, "The teams that needed fuel, that didn't fuel their tanks before, as James Small was saying, they got bailed out by this decision to have everyone come down. The teams that were going to be good, like their strategy got thwarted, essentially. That's fine if the teams didn't want to fill up their fuel tank all the way, but that's a risk you take if you run out of fuel. You made your cars lighter, and that's too bad." Do you see the problem? NASCAR made the Daytona 500 qualifying ruthless. Miss your qualifying lap? Too bad. Lose your duel race? Go home. No mercy. But when the actual racing gets messy, NASCAR steps in and protects teams from their mistakes. Fans are asking a fair question. If you're going to be tough on teams trying to qualify, why aren't you tough on them during the race? The 2026 Daytona 500 will also be emotional. The NASCAR community had a really tough offseason. Greg Biffle, Dennis Hamlin, who is Denny Hamlin's father, and Michael Annett all passed away. And there are drivers racing for their futures. Kyle Busch, Daniel Suarez, Austin Cindric, and Alex Bowman don't have contracts for next year yet. Winning the Daytona 500, regardless of how the next 35 races go, can make a huge difference in sponsorship and job security. The Daytona 500 can change lives both short-term and long-term. So, NASCAR faces a big test. Do you want chaos or do you want control? When the pressure is highest at Daytona, which one are you really choosing? The sport needs to figure that out fast, because fans are watching closely and they want answers.